Game 5 tonight in Tampa between the Lightning and the Canadiens. Series tied at 2-2. And we'll tell you why it's not far-fetched to think the outcome of the series may be decided tonight.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Lightning. I'm Nick Morgan. That's my partner in crime, Greg Stephen, and thank you for joining us on today's show. Big game tonight between the Lightning and the Canadiens. Game 5 coming at you. On today's show, mistakes. It's been a big theme of this series for the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially in the games they lose. Why that's going to be front and center, and discipline is going to be a key factor in tonight's game. Plus, award season already starting to be in full swing, and Nikita Kucherov just earned himself a nomination for the players voted MVP. What that says about his Hart chances. A lot to get to on today's show, but first, Greg, I want to throw some stats at you. You ready for this?
I'm so ready. Let's do it.
Since 2006, in the Stanley Cup Playoffs, when a series has been tied 2-2, the team that wins Game 5 goes on to win the series 79% of the time. That's almost 8 out of every 10 series in which the team that wins Game 5 in a 2-2 series wins.
That's a big stat. I mean, that just shows you how important tonight is. I mean, the Wild did it last night, and now the Lightning, they need to do it tonight.
It is, and it's, I said it off the top. I think it's one of those things where, look, these teams are evenly matched. However tonight turns out, you won't be surprised to see a Game 7. But it does feel like there could be some semblance of, look, tonight's going to say how the rest of the series is going to go. With these two teams evenly matched, it's tough for any team to win, 2 out of 3. Like that's going to be a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's going to be even tougher to win 2 in a row if you go down. So for me, if I'm the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm treating this Game 5 like it's a Game 7.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it all out there. I'm, basically zoning in on my attention to detail because in a way, Greg, the stats show this could theoretically be the series.
For sure. And you know what? Another interesting thing to think about is that neither of these teams has won 2 in a row. This has been 1-1-1-1. So this is a big opportunity for the Lightning coming off a road win to maintain that momentum after a big comeback, win on home ice, get 2 done in a row, and really keep the momentum on their side. I think that's really, really important here. Not only to play into the statistics you cited, but also that, momentum is huge in hockey. So if you can get 2 in a row here in this series as the first team to do it, finally take a series lead, I think it's huge. I think it's so important, and you can do it on home ice. Like, this is the time right here. This is it. So I think you gotta pretend this is Game 7. In my eyes, you should be pretending every single one of these games is Game 7. But yeah, this one in particular for sure. And I can't think of a better time than winning on Montreal's home turf and then coming home and getting it done again. I think this is it. They're set up for it, and they just got to find a way, man.
Have a shirtless Nikita Kucherov taunt the crowd again.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I mean, I said back in the regular season, the Lightning should be treating those end of the regular season games like postseason, and they didn't listen to me. So maybe tonight will be a little bit better from that standpoint. But the big key, Greg, part of treating this like a Game 7 is the mistakes. And honing in on the mistakes. And that's been sort of the theme of the series so far. That's been the as my friend Ann Kimmel from Locked On Predators would say, the hitch in the giddy up for the Tampa Bay Lightning at times this season, where it's sometimes they just can't get out of their own way. I mean, you think back even to like some of the last regular season games the Lightning played against the Habs, and it was just like some wild mishap at the end of the game that sort of caused their undoing. And you've seen that at times this season too, or this playoff series too, like game 3 overtime winner, nobody is in like the right position. It's just like a little bunch right in front of the net. You think back to the last game and Jay Gensel, terrible call, but also stay away from stuff like that. The turnovers, passing, stuff like that. That needs to be front and center tonight if you're John Cooper, and that you really have to kind of nail that point home. It's like, look, take an extra microsecond in your mind to analyze the play and make sure you're making the right play.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And a guy who's done this really, really, really well and found success because of it, Brandon Hagel. And he does it a lot on the power play recently. And it's just something that a lot of the Bolts need to do, just taking the extra second. You know who's really good at it on defense? McDonough. When he's in his own zone and he finds the puck, he reads the play for just a split second, man. Just a second longer than a lot of the other defensemen for the Lightning. And it's really effective. He gets the puck out more often than not. And JJ does it pretty well as well, but he carries the puck a lot more than anyone else, I think, on the defense. But yeah, just take an extra second. Like, let's just not force a turnover for no reason in the neutral zone. If you can't get a smart play over the offensive blue line, dump the puck and get a line change or chase it. But none of the poor entry, fancy passing, just get it done the way you got to get it done. And fundamentals are going to play a pivotal role in that.
Yeah, and I think discipline, too, is key. Mm-hmm. And look, we said it yesterday. The nice way to put this is I'm not exactly sure we agree with how the refs have managed this series. And I say that as both a Lightning fan and an objective fan, because the Habs, I think, would also have some qualms about the way this series has been called. Uh-huh. It's been unpredictable, to say the least. So that was kind of John Cooper's message yesterday. It's like, look, you might just need to pull yourself out of a situation before it gets out of hand. Like, look, you want to be the team that steps up and defends each other and, isn't going to back down from a fight. I get it. But maybe for the rest of this series, step back. Yeah. Like somebody, gets under your skin, let them just, throw a glove punch or something like that. Or let them keep, pushing after the whistle goes and after the refs try to break it up. Try to do anything you can to get yourself to be the one that's pulled out of the pile and sent out of the box. And and it's not just, the roughing penalties and, everything that happens after the whistle too. Be careful with the sticks. We've seen a lot of stick penalties in this series, probably more than you normally see from a tight playoff series like this. It's just that goes part in, to me, Greg, like being part of that attention to detail is just minimizing and making sure you're not the one giving the refs an easy call.
Yeah, and you don't want to hurt yourselves any further because you get punished on the power play. That's how this series is going to go. Special teams are really, really important to both of these teams, and look, I don't want to see Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Suzuki, Lane Hudson out there. I mean, that's just scary. Every time they have the puck set up in our zone, I'm just shaking in my boots. So let's not let it happen more often than it needs to. Let's force them to play 5-on-5.
Yeah, that is going to be a key factor is 5-on-5 and the matchups between the Habs' big guns and the Lightning's big guns. I think that's where the series swings. I want to talk about that after the break, plus some hardware nomination for Nikita Kucherov. We'll dive into that when we come back on Locked on Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by Warby Parker. Spring is here, which means more weddings, trips, rooftop hangs, basically a lot more situations where you could have your photo taken. And if you wear glasses like I do normally, you're wearing them in all of those pictures. So if you don't love your frames, you feel it pretty quickly. Well, that's where Warby Parker helps out. They've completely changed how easy it is to find glasses you actually like. Their virtual try-on lets you see how frames look on your face right from your phone. All you have to do is point your camera and you can try on tons of styles in real time. Like I said, I normally wear glasses because these beautiful green eyes don't see too well anymore. I recently took out a pair from Warby Parker, and the whole process was easier than anything I've dealt with before. I was able to try on different styles virtually within seconds, and at the end of the day, I was actually confident in what I chose before I ordered. The frames look great, they feel high quality, and I've already gotten compliments wearing them out and about. And honestly, for the price, it's hard to beat. Prescription glasses start at just $95, so you're not sacrificing style or quality. Warby Parker has everything in one place: glasses and glasses contacts. You can even get eye exams. So it just simplifies everything for you. So it's the perfect time to upgrade your glasses for spring. Buy one prescription pair and get 20% off any additional prescription pairs at warbyparker.com/lockedonnhl. Again, that's 20% off additional prescription pairs when you go to warbyparker.com/lockedonnhl. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed. I don't know about you guys, but my workplace usually blows up in the spring. There's deadlines stacking up, that inbox is overflowing. It is not the right time to sit down, read through a bunch of resumes, schedule a bunch of interviews, and try to find somebody for an open position. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for with the right skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of Locked On Lightning get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Again, just go to Indeed.com/podcast and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Lightning. Again, Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Back here on Locked On Lightning, Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, before the break, we talked about the importance of maybe keeping this at 5-on-5. To me, the big factor in this game is going to be the 5-on-5 matchup between Montreal's top line and the Habs top line, because they've been the line out there. And we said it yesterday, so far, as good of a series that they've had, Nick Suzuki, Uri Slafkovsky, Ivan Demidov, Cole Caulfield have not recorded a point at even strength this series.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a big factor because, the other thing is I would rather lose 5-on-5 than lose on the PP, right? So either way you look at it, you want to play this game 5-on-5. And we haven't really seen these teams be able to play a full game with 5-on-5 play significantly throughout because there's just so many power plays. So I'd love to see these two lines go at it. And look, if you need to shut that line down at any point too, you have Anthony Cirelli in your back pocket with the Hagel. And, those two can do whatever they got to do. So if you start paying the price for it, you got defensive players. You can match up with them. You have home ice advantage. You can make the last change. I just think this is the chance here for the top lines to kind of show what they can do. And I believe in Kucherov and I believe in Brayden Point, and I think they can get it done. And look, Jake Gensel's been amazing as well. These guys have been performing for the Lightning. So let's get the top line out there as much as we can. And you do that by staying disciplined and selecting the best matchups.
For me, I really love the way that Anthony Cirelli has played in this series. And I know he's kind of been bouncing around. But I think even though he's only got 2 points this series, he's somebody that's been very noticeable. Winning faceoffs, taking away space from the other team's players. You want to see that from your top lines. I think a big key is the Lightning have kind of built a reputation of having guys that can score but also play both ways. Point had that reputation for a very long time. Anthony Cirelli certainly has it. Brandon Hagel has it. This is a game, Greg, in which you're going to need to, as much talk about matchups and everything there is, it's going to wind up, I think, just being best on best for a long time. And I think you need your best players to kind of play that style where they're doing everything. They're not just going out there and generating offensive passes, but they're being just as sharp in their own zone. And they're being just as sharp in the neutral zone, whether it's, transitioning their way, whether it's kind of just, 50-50, not a lot of space to move. You need 200-foot games from all your top six tonight.
Absolutely. And you need them on the back check as well. You mess up a play in the offensive zone, let's hustle and get back and help the defense out, because you don't want any weird odd man rushes with their top line either. So, that starts with playing smart in the O zone and also playing smart in the neutral zone, and also just putting effort fully in on your entire shift. And I've said it every single episode since this series has started, but a guy who does that well, Yanni Gourde, skating full speed at all areas of the ice. He's constantly pressuring every hab that has the puck, and that's just something everyone's got to do on this team for the win.
It's interesting because, the other end of that is the Lightning's depth players have not gotten on the board this season, at least in terms of the forward. Whereas the Montreal Canadiens have won that battle. Josh Anderson's having a good series. Kirby Dach has, rebounded after, the icing in game 2. We talked about that. It's the Lightning are getting scoring contributions from their depth players. I would like to see the Lightning depth maybe more of that, and get a goal from Yanni Gourde or Zemgus Girgensons tonight, or even Corey Perry, who we know has some scoring touch.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about how we thought the depth was going to be a big role in this, and it's funny how it did switch to the Canadiens' depth that has been strong. Bolduc has been excellent, and I don't even think that the Lightning's depth has been poor necessarily. It's just they really haven't been able to generate much offense, and a big part of that is how well Jack Guy's playing, and even Struble has looked pretty strong out there. But that's still not a reason. You gotta try and generate something. I think there have been times where they've looked pretty sharp in the ozone, but if they can convert and get some points tonight in any of those guys, I think it's really going to provide a big boost for their mentality and also just a little momentum for the other lines.
Yeah, you're hoping to see that for sure. I think to me that's easy to be a key to the game tonight. Is just does the depth battle continue to be a factor, and can the Lightning find a way to swing it back their way? Because it's weird, Greg, because that's been a factor for the Lightning so many times this season. Certain times where we look at it and say, okay, this wasn't Kucherov's best game tonight, or the top line was kind of outplayed and outworked. It was always the third line that went out there and made an impact, whether it was big defense, whether it was a timing, like the timing of a great goal. We know it's in there, and we know that the Lightning are capable of having those third and fourth lines wind up coming out and stealing a series. It just hasn't happened yet this series. So that is something I'm working at, or I'm looking at tonight as well. And just imagine, the way it's kind of funny in the context of last year, because remember the big storyline kind of coming after out of the Panthers series, where it was a lot of the star players, had a little bit of off series. They were outworked, but it was the Lightning depth guys, guys like Gage Gonzalez that wound up having really good series. And now it's kind of the other way around. The Lightning stars have absolutely come to play in this postseason, and all, you check the list of the big guns on this team, and they're doing their part this season. And it's the depth that just hasn't been able to contribute on the score sheet or win their battles yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Gage.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a guy who I would love to see hit the score sheet. Him and Dominic James are the two I'm really looking at. I think those are guys that you just want to have those two guys convert, because they're so sharp, so good. But if they can get some playoff points under their belt in this series, I think that's really going to help the Lightning.
Yeah, Gage Gonzalez is a big one. Yanni Gourde's a big one. Even the blue line. Like let's see Darren Radish involved a little bit more. Get him on the score sheet. JJ Moser's having a good year. It also sounds like, Greg, we might get the reemergence of Charles-Edouard Dastou tonight, who of course left after the play in Game 1. He's been skating the past couple days. It sounds like he might make his return tonight. So there's another big piece for the Lightning back in the fold for tonight's game.
That's huge. And I'm curious to see what they do because I really like Crozier in the lineup, but I'm not sure if they go 7 or they take Crozier out.
Yeah. Should be interesting. Well, hey, a little bit of accolade already for Nikita Kucherov. He was nominated for the Ted Lindsay Award. What this says about his chances of getting nominated for the Hart, plus Keys picks predictions for tonight's Game 5 between the Lightning and Habs when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. The hunt for the Stanley Cup is on, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship with confidence. For instance, tonight's Game 5 between the Habs and Bolts. Right now, the Habs are trading at a 62% probability to beat the Habs, meaning a $100 payout earns $157 if they win the game tonight. As the playoffs heat up, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in or out anytime. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Again, just put $10 down and you can get 10 additional dollars to trade. Again, Kalshi, Kalshi. Kalshi, trade on anything. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. Want to remind you guys to check out our Everydayer Club this postseason. Not only do you get ad-free episodes of Locked on Lightning, but you also get access to our group chat on Discord. Greg and I both hop in there, get to talk with fans from across the NHL and other Locked on Lightning listeners. If you want to get started, just go to lockedonpodcast.com or check out the link below in our show notes. All right, Greg, award season is also kicking off now that the regular season is over, and we have a Nikita Kucherov signing. Nikita Kucherov, one of 3 players nominated for the Ted Lindsay Award, which is basically the MVP voted by the players. The press and a bunch of other people vote for the Hart, but Nikita Kucherov, Macklin Celebrini, and Connor McDavid. Greg, you happy to see Cooch up there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to see Cooch up there. I mean, dude, he did a lot this year, as we know. One of the best runs in a span of it was like 25 or 40 games or something like that. Unbelievable play. And, I know last season he factored in on more than 50% of the Lightning goals. So I don't know what that stat is this season, but it can't be too far off that number. And yeah, I mean, the Lightning are a different team without Nikita Kucherov. So I think he absolutely deserves a shot. But look, my guy Macklin Celebrini's on there too, and he had an excellent year. So this is going to be a tight race. I have a feeling Connor McDavid does not win it this season for the Oilers, but maybe I'm wrong. I think it is probably going to come down to Cooch for Celebrini.
It's interesting because there are 4 players really being mentioned in award season this year. Those 3 and then Nathan MacKinnon. Mm-hmm. And somebody talked about, there's going to be somebody really deserving left off this list when the Hart nominations come out. Yeah. I'm hoping that voters, maybe this is a sign that people around the league are seeing the season that Nikita Kucherov had and how he contributed to the Lightning, really in particular, turning it around in December onward, but also just the pure scoring output that he's had in the regular season. Again, like played fewer games than Celebrini, McDavid, McKinnon, and, better points per game than all those players. Maybe, Greg. Maybe this is the year that Nikita Kucherov finally gets his due.
I think it just might be. And I hope it is because I don't think he thrives on hardware by any means, but it's a good mental boost, moving into the next season sometimes. And, he's a guy who's a perfectionist. So, it's got to help him confirm that he's great, in his own mind. So I'm rooting for him. I'm obviously a Lightning fan, so I want Kuch to win every award he possibly can.
Out of those three,
Mm-hmm.
give me a prediction right now. Not who you'd think should win. Just give me a prediction.
I think it goes to Celebrini.
I kind of was leaning the same thing.
Yeah, it's just a young kid who willed his team into a next level with a roster that's not complete by any means with all other young kids, a couple of vets, but majority up and coming, young guys. And Celebrini put on a performance that I don't know that we've seen like a teenager do in a long, long time. I think he deserves a lot for that. And yeah, I think Celebrini is going to get it.
I'm kind of with you. I think just the respect that he has around the NHL already is crazy. Greg, let's get back to the game tonight. Game 5 between the Lightnings and Habs. Series tied 2-2. We talked a little bit about, a couple of key things like discipline matchups, but give me one big key tonight. One big thing that you think is going to play a factor in tonight's game.
For sure. And this is what I've said, I think, every single time. I'm just going to keep saying it, and it's goaltending. I think both these goalies have been very, very sharp, and whoever can keep that momentum going with the sharpness, it's going to help your team out, and I think that that's going to play a role.
I'm going to make a bold prediction here.
Okay.
What's the one stat that the Lightning have been really bad at all season long that I said it's going to play into factors sometime?
It's not penalty minutes.
No.
Faceoffs.
It has been bad all season long. The Lightning have won in spite of it. And I look at the end of game 2. It was a key faceoff win by Anthony Cirelli that led to the Lightning's game-winning goal. I think we're going to see a situation like that today where a faceoff is going to directly influence a goal. Whether it's, winning a key faceoff on the power play to set up an opportunity, whether it's, a key faceoff late. I feel like faceoffs are going to wind up being a factor here tonight.
Yeah, that doesn't seem unreasonable.
There's going to be a faceoff that directly sort of influences a goal. And we wind up talking about, well, that's a key win on the draw by so-and-so. Like we're gonna hear that tonight. I'm just feeling
Okay.
I just feel I've been preaching it all season long. I feel like it's gonna come in here.
All right, I believe that.
Let's get to some picks and predictions for this one. According to our friends at FanDuel, over under on tonight's game, 5.5. Greg, I'm hitting the under all the way. What are you doing?
I mean, it's been the under this entire time, hasn't it? So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's under.
Yeah, that's easy. And like what you said with the goaltending matchup as well.
Yeah, two great goalies, man.
Yeah.
They're just battling it out.
Greg, give me an anytime goal scorer for tonight.
Oh, all right. I'm going to will it into existence. I'm going to go with Dominic James.
Dominic James at plus 600 tonight,
Oof.
according to our friends at FanDuel. But it would be nice to see the depth get going. Look, I'm a safe money guy. I got to ride with Brandon Hagel again. Like the series that he's been having, I just feel like at home, in front of the home crowd, he's going to look for a reason to make this an electric atmosphere. I just feel like Hagel is going to continue his hot streak. And Brandon Hagel, according to FanDuel, plus 140, best odds of any player on either team to score a goal.
Wow. Well, I guess that makes sense when you have 6 goals so far.
Yeah, when you're dominating the series, it makes sense that you have pretty good odds to score. Again, tomorrow on Locked on Lightning, we will break down everything that happened on Game 5, the good, the bad, and hopefully not the too ugly, and talk about where the series moves on from whatever happens in tonight's game. Make sure you join us tomorrow for that. Make sure you subscribe. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening in on your favorite podcasting platform. Helps us out with our numbers, lets you guys know when we have new content available for you. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked on Lightning. Thanks for making this your first listen of the day. We will see you tomorrow with a new episode.